what's up? This is Patrick. Welcome to episode 33 of the Double ETF podcast, Everything Except the Football. I hope you guys are doing great. Apologies for the extended break. Real life got in the way, but it's all good. No problem at all. I'm not going anywhere. Well, actually, I did go somewhere else. Welcome to the Double ETF studios now, the new studios. I moved, basically. So, what do we have today? We have the year in review, 2021. We did things a little differently from last year. Last year was me and Josh. This year, it's me and Josh, plus John Mutford and Mike Drew. And let me tell you guys, this was a blast to record. We had a ton of fun. I hope you will have as much fun listening to it as we did doing it. The sound might be a little bit different. Hopefully that won't be a problem for you guys. And that's it. Also, we also have a new member in the awesome club. Joining Carly, Kevin, Josh, Nick, and Bags, Carly again, Hector, Tom Newberg, Tony Grithouse, RJ, and Woody. Now, Mike Drew, who is also, as I said, here today for the year in review. If you want to join that club, you can do so at paypal.me/EETFpod. Or if you want to tell us your top 5 for the year, please feel free to do so at twitter.com/EETFpod or drop us an email at eetfpodcast@gmail.com. So that's it for now. Without further ado, here is the year in review with Josh, John Mutford, Mike Drew, and myself. And I hope you have fun listening. Thanks. All right, so welcome everyone to this episode number 33 of the Double ETF podcast, the year in review. And holy shit, what a year it's been. I don't need to tell you guys about it. You know about it already. All right, so I am joined with a bunch of grizzled veterans from the podcast. You've all have been here before. Good times, hopefully. I'll start with John Mutford. How are you, John?
I'm great. And you, Patrick?
Doing all right. Looking forward to the holiday season.
As am I, for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about this before starting recording. It's tell us how balmy it is in Yellowknife right now.
Balmy is, a selective word. We are almost minus 50, or we're expected to be minus 50 by Christmas. So we're in the middle of a real cold spell, but it's shortest day of the year. So once the sun starts shining a bit more, hopefully it'll warm up.
And so that's minus 50 Celsius. So That's about 45 below Fahrenheit, I think.
Sure.
Something like that.
I know minus 40 and minus 40 are the same.
Yes.
So where it differs after that, I don't. It's damn cold.
It's pain, pure pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so also joining us tonight is Mike Drew. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing what everybody's picked for our selections this year.
Yes, should be fun, should be nice. And also joining us is Josh Fitzgerald. How are you?
Hello. I am doing just fine. How are you?
Good, doing okay, thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's the least I could do. I mean, you were there for the year in review last year, so it was the least I could do to invite you again this year.
Thank you. I saw like maybe 2 or 3 more movies this year than I did last year.
Okay. Now we are getting somewhere. We're going to break this down into a few sections: movies, TV, music, and books, and maybe other things afterwards. So we can start with movies. So, of course, it was weird with some movies not seeing the light of day in theaters, but we managed with streaming and tactically acquiring some other movies, but let's not get into that. So we can start with each of our top 5 for 2021. So let's start with our number 5. John, what do you have for number 5?
Okay. Most of what I watched this year, movies, by the way, were either horror or superhero movies. So I'll preface that to begin with. This one was a horror movie called Night House. It came out in actually 2020. It was in the film, or was in the movie circuit, I guess, but didn't get released in theaters until the festival circuit. That's what I meant to say. But it didn't get released in theaters until September.
All right. And tell us a little bit more about it.
There's a woman who is grieving the loss of her husband, and she goes to a cabin, I guess, that the two of them had built together, but some paranormal things start happening.
Mm-hmm.
And some really cool camera effects in that movie.
Does it star someone we know?
If it does, it's nobody that I knew. They weren't well-known Hollywood actors, no.
Okay. It was an American movie?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Okay. Low budget or?
I would say it was, but it's not. They make the most of it.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't appear cheap, and not that. And it doesn't come across as an indie movie. Well, maybe if you're familiar with the A24 horror movies.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It sort of has that sort of vibe, but it's not from that studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so tell us the name again.
Night House.
Night House. All right. Okay, so Mike, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to start off by saying I am not a big movie person. I like movies. I should have had all the time in the year this year to watch a ton of them. That did not happen. I'm more of a television person, which I know we kind of texted about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But so please forgive me some of my picks. But my number 5 that I would go with was Red Notice, which was
Yes.
Ryan Reynolds and The Rock. I don't typically like kind of action buddy, films like this. But I think Dwayne Johnson, there's a charm about him, which I really like. I thought Ryan Reynolds was funny in it. And you know what? It was an hour and a half that I don't regret. I will probably never watch it again, but, I enjoyed it. It was a fun hour and a half. And, it's easily available because it was on Netflix. So
yeah, it's on Netflix. Well, I mean, it's... I gotta say, I wish I was that happy to please when it comes to movies. I don't regret watching it. That's a low bar, but that's okay.
I know. Once I said that, I thought, that makes it sound worse than it was. It wasn't. I enjoyed it. Look, it wasn't. It's not going to change the world. I didn't expect it to be, to be in the IMDb top 500 or anything. But out of the limited number of movies that I did watch this year, it was one that stood out because I did. My parents asked me, hey, have you watched it? I said, yep, you'll like it. Again, if it came on, it's not going to be like Ferris Bueller where I can watch it 50 times, 100 times and not get tired of it. But I enjoyed it.
Okay, good enough. Gal Gadot is also there, right? Wonder Woman?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, wasn't sure. All right, Josh, what do you have? Number 5.
Okay, well, I'll do my own little preface here saying that I'm sort of in the same boat as Mike Drew.
Okay.
I like I said, I watched a few more movies this year than last year, but still nothing like what I used to watch. But and also with the whole television thing, as we'll find out when we get there, I sort of struggle with TV a little bit. I'm just a little bit of a commitment phobe that way. So I'll do my best.
I remember that from last year.
Yeah. It's hard for me. My attention span. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, most of my movies that I picked, not surprisingly, are kind of music adjacent movies. Except for this one. My number 5 movie is actually Dune, which I picked pretty much just on the basis of the visuals, like seeing it in a movie theater. One of the first movies, seeing in a cinema again. And what a way to go back in it. Like just some really awe-inspiring visuals, even though like the plot is a little bit dense and probably over a lot of people's heads, mine included to a degree. But it's worth seeing just to see, how visionary, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Denis Villeneuve?
Denis Villeneuve, yes.
Yeah, him, how visionary he is.
No, yeah. His visuals are always on point. Were you familiar with the David Lynch version?
No, I actually watched it in preparation of seeing the new one.
Oh, Jesus. That must have been a trip.
And I remember starting to read the book when I was like 15 and getting maybe like a third of the way through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never read the book, but I remember the Lynch version. I prefer this one.
Yeah. Though they both have their virtues. That's for sure.
Yeah, but sometimes I think that if that version didn't have David Lynch associated to it, it would be seen the same way as Barbarella or Flash Gordon would be seen. You know?
Perhaps.
Wait, isn't Flash Gordon one of the greatest films? That's Flash Gordon. Sorry,
Yes.
I apologize.
Yeah.
See, no, I didn't think the original was that bad. I think there's something to be said for the kind of like homemade special effects. I mean, you can CGI till the cows come home, like they do in Dune, but there's almost that like touch of humanity that's missing to a certain degree that you kind of get a little bit in the original.
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out there. But
yeah, no, that's a valid point. And there are a few little things, little touches that are typical Lynch.
Right.
The
newer version
Lynch
is a little
there.
bit more dry, no pun intended.
Yes, and maybe what's the word I'm looking for? Not sanitized, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's on my list as well. But yeah, there you go. All right, my number 5, I don't know if you've heard of it, is Quo Vadis Aida. It is a international production. It's I'm starting super gloomy. It's about the massacre of Srebrenica in Bosnia during the Yugoslavian war. It's about a real, true story. And when the Serbian army takes over the town, her family, her Aida's family, is among the thousands of citizens looking for shelter in the UN camp. As an insider to the negotiations, Aida has access to crucial information that she needs to interpret. Yeah, as the movie goes along, I saw names that I remember, like the Serbian general who was responsible for the massacre and the Dutch commander who was kind of a, left hanging. And I'll be honest.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
It's a rom-com.
I'll be honest, it's on my list, but I couldn't finish it. Because watching that movie, I typed that earlier today, watching this movie was like getting strangled.
Wow.
It's not good for anyone's anxiety, especially if you know what happens. It's not fun. It's an excellent movie, and I think it might be part of the nominees in the Oscar for best non-English movie. I forgot the exact name. It's not for everyone though. So yeah, that's my number 5. Merry Christmas. All right, so John, what do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I have another superhero movie, Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to see after Endgame where they were going to go after this and introduce new characters and a more diverse cast. And I think they did quite a great job with that one, with Canada's own in the lead role.
I didn't know about that. I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No.
Sim Liu, I think is his name, but he's originally from
Mississauga.
Mississauga, is it? Yeah.
Oh,
and
nice.
he was in a sitcom, right? Before.
That may come up for me later.
Ah, really? Okay. All right.
All right.
What's the name of the sitcom again?
Kim's Convenience.
Kim's Convenience, yes. And he had actually wanted that role years ago. He had tweeted out to Marvel Studios and said, if you ever do a movie about Shang-Chi, please put me in it. And then his dream sort of came true. So it's amazing.
Nice.
Wow.
I'll be honest, after Endgame, I kind of took a break from Marvel movies. Black Widow, I haven't seen. Eternals, same. And
Right.
Shang-Chi, same. I did watch a couple of TV series.
Okay.
But otherwise, sorry?
I was just going to say some of the TV shows will make my list as well.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. All right. So, Drew, what do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I've got another Netflix movie, actually. It's called Love Hard. It's kind of a rom-com. The older I get, the sappier I get and the softer I get. And I actually really liked it. It was silly, but it was fun. And it's just a story about a girl a lady in I think California, and she kind of falls for this guy online. She ends up being catfished by Jimmy O Yang's character. It was fun. Again, kind of like Red Notice.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it. I don't think it's a groundbreaker or anything, and it kind of hits a lot of those cliches that rom-coms do. But it was, like I said, the older I get, I just want things that are nice, and especially right now. I mean, it's been a hard, year, and
That's true.
especially for some of us more so than others. Maybe, I don't know, but it's nice just to kind of relax and not have to think. And like the movie that you were speaking of
Yes.
2 years ago would totally have been right up my alley. But I think now I'm trying to avoid kind of those heavy.
I get that.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I would recommend this if you like rom-coms. If you don't, then, and I'm not a huge fan or anything, but I don't mind a good one. And I would say this is one of the better ones. So.
And with that title, it's a great 1-2 punch with Flash Gordon.
Listen, I was waiting for it to come back. After I made that joke, I thought,
Yeah, you're doomed.
This evening's going to become a Flash Gordon drinking game. Every time we mention that movie, we're going to have to like take a shot.
Yeah, or somebody that like start singing like the Queen song, right?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Josh, what do you got at number 4?
All right, number 4, I have maybe the less popular of the two Puerto Rican musicals that came out this year, In the Heights.
Oh, yeah.
That's my
okay.
number 4. Yeah. I know
right.
people love to piss on Lin-Manuel Miranda right now because apparently you can only be famous for a certain amount of time before people, are obligated to hate you. But yeah, this ticks off pretty much every box for me. Being half Puerto Rican, this very much spoke to me. Love the music. I'm a sucker for singing and dancing. Love musicals. High energy, beautiful, fun, moving. This was, very much in my wheelhouse, and I loved it.
Perfect. And where can we watch that?
I think it's back on HBO Max now.
Okay.
I think they
And
put it
For
back
us
on
north of the border, that would
That's,
be something different.
right.
That's Crave, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Possibly, yeah.
Or, like I said, tactically, yeah, okay. I'm not going to
Acquired through nefarious means.
There you go.
Yeah, but I prefer my version, to be honest, because like tactically could be like just borrowing maybe someone's log on and password,
There you go.
and
Nice.
that's tactical. But nefarious means that's just,
Shady.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds shady as hell. All right. My number 4 was Coda. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah,
Coda
I saw that.
is a child of deaf adults. You saw it,
I saw it,
Josh?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Did you like it?
I thought it was decent.
Mhm.
I didn't love it, but I thought it was decent. I liked the representation of the deaf community and bringing that to life a little bit. I thought that was very cool.
Is that Apple TV or Apple Plus?
Could
yes,
be.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
It could be. So yeah, for the second year in a row, and yeah, it's my number 4 because I was pleasantly surprised by it. I didn't expect much of it because I was pretty sure I wouldn't like it, to be honest.
Mm.
But it was a pleasant surprise. And for the second year in a row, I have a movie involving deaf people.
Yeah.
Last year was
Sound of Metal?
Sound of Metal.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'll be honest, I prefer the Sound of Metal. It's more in my wheelhouse.
Is this
Yeah, I
one
feel
a
the same.
documentary, Patrick?
Nope,
No, okay.
it's actually a remake of a French movie from 2014 called La Famille Bélier, the Bélier family, and it's same deal exactly, but this time this is like a fishing family from Massachusetts, as opposed to a farmer family in France. But no, yeah, it's good. It's you could call it a feel good movie, right?
Okay.
Josh?
Yeah, I would
I'd say it is predictable and it's bordering on formulaic and corny at times. If you
I think that's why it's only like a decent for me. It was a little maudlin for my tastes.
It was close to that line for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a good listen, and there is some singing in the movie. And at first, I thought it was going to be a musical, and I hate musicals. But it turned out not to be a problem for me anyway. For the not musical liking type. Anyway, yeah, it sounds like I'm shitting all over it, even though it's my number 4. But no, honestly, it's a good movie. I can recommend it. Like you said, Drew, earlier, especially this year, this might be the kind of movie that we can enjoy more than my number 5.
Yeah.
It's one of the only uses of the song "Both Sides" now that doesn't like annoy me to no end. Because so many movies use that in a climactic moment in a very ridiculous way, and
no, yeah,
this does
Did
that
they
too.
use
But
the
it's
original, or is it a cover in the movie?
No, she the actress performs
Sings
it.
it. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Mhm.
All right, so yeah, that's my number 4. Number 3, John, what do you have?
Before that, I just looked it up. You don't have to do tactical or nefarious. In the Heights is on DVD. You can borrow it from your local library.
Okay.
Just a little plug for librarians,
right?
Thank you.
Good to know.
My number 3 is another horror movie called The Vigil. And again, it's sort of a cheat. I guess they call it a 2021 movie. It came out in the film festival circuit again in 2019. It was released in Europe in 2020, but didn't make it to the US and I'm assuming Canada until this year. But it's a horror movie about, it's Jewish in the background of the movie.
I saw that movie now. I remember. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I find most horror movies are usually Christian in their background, especially with all the possession and exorcism and stuff like that, right? So it was interesting to see that take on it, where it's a guy who's hired to basically stay with a corpse overnight to make sure the soul passes on, but then there's some evil spirits coming for him at the time, and it's very, again, low budget, I would say, but they make the most of a small set, and it's scary. I enjoyed it.
American movie?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But again, I don't know why it was made in America, but it took 2 years to get in their circuit. I'm not sure why. But
that's a mystery.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that's number 3. Mike, what do you have at 3?
Number 3. So this is where I think I'm the only one of the 4 of us that has young kids. So my number 3 movie is Luca, which was on Disney Plus this year. It was kind of one of the, I think it was maybe the only film that they released straight to Disney Plus. It didn't go to the theaters. I think the theaters from us anyway were closed at that point. And it's just a story about a sea creature who, when he comes out of the sea, he turns into a human. So if he gets wet, he goes back into being the sea creature, which can lead to some hilarity, as you can imagine. And I really liked it, and I think it was nice because I think it's supposed to be set in Italy. I'm not sure if they ever actually say that, but he makes friends with, some of the kids in town, one in particular, and the shenanigans and hijinks that go along with that and being a Disney movie. But I know, Patrick, you and I and all 4 of us are travelers. And so it was kind of nice to be able to see something that, even though it wasn't real, it was like, hey, it's set in Italy, and Italy's still on my bucket list. And so I there was a lot of aspects I enjoyed it, and it's just again, going back to my last pick, it was a nice story. It was and it was something that my son, we all could watch as a family. So, which will hint lead to my number 2 pick as well in a minute. But
yeah, that one was very popular with my little ones.
Yeah.
All right.
Would you say it's like Flash Gordon?
Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
Better than Flash Gordon.
All right. Good to know. All right. Josh, what do you have at number 3?
All right. My number 3 is a documentary, and it's the Sparks Brothers. Yeah. I kind of went back and forth between that one and picking the Tina Turner one, but I decided to go with the Sparks one simply because it's a subject that's not really, they haven't really been discussed much before. And, I'd been familiar with them before seeing the movie, but even in that regard, like it was so fascinating seeing, their whole career laid out, because they've had a decades-long career, super influential, super important group that a lot of people don't know about or don't really understand, because as influential as they are, they've never really hit mainstream music culture at all. They're one of those, a lot of people respect them, but not a lot of people know them. And so I think this was really pretty eye-opening for a lot of people, and really brought them to the brought some well-needed attention. So, and it was really it's super entertaining in the process as well. Did a lot with like animation and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Wasn't it Edgar Wright who did it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wasn't sure. Okay. Nice. To be honest, I was considering having a separate section for documentaries, because I think it was a good year for documentaries in general. So there you go.
I would have been completely silent in that category. I like documentaries. I just did not see any this year. I think the only one I saw was maybe My Octopus Teacher, which maybe came out last year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Was it good?
It was good. But again, is that a 2021, Josh, or 2020?
I think it was last year that came out. I watched it just a few months ago, but I think it came out last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 3 For the second year in a row, I have a Danish movie starring Mads Mikkelsen.
Wow.
It is Riders of
subgenre.
Justice. No, yeah, exactly. Riders of Justice. I don't know if you guys heard of it.
Not me.
It is on Amazon Prime and Hulu as well. So, military commander Marcus returns home to care for his daughter when his wife dies in a tragic train accident. However, when a survivor of the wreck surfaces and claims foul play, Marcus suspects his wife was murdered and embarks on a mission to find those responsible. At times, it is a revenge movie, a comedy, a group therapy session about grief and guilt, and somehow it works together really well. And some parts are really, really funny as well. And if you want to make a comparison to a better known kind of movie, you could say, you could almost call it a Danish Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
And I recommend it. It's pretty good.
I just looked it up, and as soon as I saw it, I recognized it. I haven't seen it. It's actually on my list. It's one of the movies that I didn't recognize the name when you first said it.
Okay.
But yeah, the trailer, I thought it kind of, and it's hard, but it does look like the trailer makes it seem like a bit of a comedy, a bit of a revenge movie, like you said. But yeah, I know of it, and it's on my list already that I'm hoping to get through a couple over the holidays, and that's one of them.
Oh, awesome. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Watch it if you can. Riders of Justice. All right, so we are at number 2. John, what do you have?
I'm going with a series of movies. So on Netflix, they put out the Fear Street horror movies. So there's Fear Street 94, Fear Street 78, and Fear Street 1666. They all put them out at once. Mm-hmm. And they were fun. They were entertaining for horror movies, but they sort of like the way Scream sort of spoofed the old slasher movies. They sort of did the same, especially from the eras that they were spoofing. So 94 was sort of spoofing movies from the 90s, 80s, in the late 70s, the same thing. Now, obviously, 1666 weren't spoofing any movies, but, but it worked really well. I mean, it has that sort of Netflix sort of vibe and feel to it that, I don't know, you start seeing in all their Netflix originals, you start seeing the same thing. But I mean, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. So lots of great music in there, great acting. It was fun.
Again, same question. Is that an American trilogy?
Yeah, it was directed by Lee Janiak, and it was based on books by R.L. Stine.
All right.
Goosebumps.
Hey, John, are they kind of aimed at kids then?
No, despite the fact that they can be quite bloody.
Okay.
Yeah. I know R.L. Stine usually writes for kids, but
like the Goosebumps series.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, these are
okay.
not. I wouldn't say they're kid friendly.
Okay,
I mean, they're teen friendly. There's certainly more gory and like torturous and horror movies out there than these. But I don't think they were aimed at kids.
All right. Okay. Mike, what do you have at 2?
So mine is aimed at kids. It's Mitchells versus the Machines, which is Netflix, another kind of, Pixar-ish. I'm not sure what the production company is. I don't think it's actually a Netflix film. It could be. This was easily the most, I love that genre of those types of films. I'm a sucker for them. I was even before my son came along. But this one's a lot of fun, and it's really smart, and it's just very witty, and it's well written. And I would say that if you liked, I remember the first time I saw Shrek, I was like, this is so well written and just performed and everything. And it's so it's a landmark at that point. I find that for me, I would say that this is probably one of the best in that genre that's come out in years.
Oh wow!
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's really good. It's again, it came out on Netflix, I think earlier in the year, and when I was creating my list, it came up as a 2021 movie, and I was like, that's got to be on there for sure.
All right, and tell us the name again.
The Mitchells versus the Machines. So it's about this family called the Mitchells, and it's really about the daughter who I think she's off to college or university, and she loves to make films and stuff. And needless to say, there's an invasion on Earth with these machines, like cell phones and things like that. and this one family who's quite dysfunctional, but they all love each other, but they're kind of that dysfunctional unit, have to come together to beat them. And it was a lot of fun, and it's funny, and it's warm, and it's everything. It hit all the boxes this year for me. So
Awesome. Josh, what do you have?
All right, I'm back with another boringly predictable choice on my part. But of course, I have to go with West Side Story. I went into this sort of a little bit kicking and screaming because I'm going to upset a lot of people in that I'm not really a Spielberg fan generally. I'm
with you there.
Yeah, and I and I love the original one, and I'm like, why are they doing that? They can't top this. And wow.
They did.
It really, really blew me away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Especially, like I was talking about within the Heights, my mom's side of the family's Puerto Rican, and seeing all that representation. The original movie was a bit problematic in the way it portrayed those characters, and seeing
the casting as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And seeing them kind of be, because Tony Kushner, the famous playwright, like he totally revamped the script pretty much from the ground up, and fleshed out these characters so much more. There's an electricity in the movie that I think is missing in the first one.
Oh wow, okay.
And the music, of course, is just incredible. The only weak link I would say is Tony, the lead male, but everybody else is just.
That's him. What's his name?
Yeah, the
Ansel and Gort or something. Jesus,
something like that.
I should know his name, but yeah, that guy, the Baby Driver guy.
Yeah, him.
I thought he was the weak link in Baby Driver as well.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
There you go.
But Rachel Zegler, who plays the lead Maria, is she's like a revelation. She's just out of this world. Yeah.
Was it her first movie?
Yeah, I think he found her on like an online audition on TikTok or something like that. And just kind of hired her from that. Yeah. And it was the right choice because she really just knocked it out of the park.
Would you say it's better than the original?
It rivals it. It's certain elements I say yes. It's a couple things I'd say the original does better, but I'd say it's pretty much neck and neck. And I never ever thought I would have made that claim when I was first hearing about the ramp up to the release of this movie.
Okay.
So
you've raved about that so much on Twitter, Josh, that I expected that one to be in your top five for sure.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Now I remember. But as an aside, what would you say is the last good movie Spielberg made?
That's a tough one. Schindler's List from the early 90s.
And I thought Munich was okay.
Yeah, that was all right.
Bridge of Spies was okay, but everything else I don't even remember. It didn't even register.
I don't think I saw Bridge of Spies. Yeah,
it was rolled my eyes a couple of times, but it was decent.
Yeah,
AI wasn't bad, was it? I don't really remember that well.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one since it first came out. Yeah,
I forgot which year it was. Munich was more recent, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But AI was all right. I mean, we sound like a bunch of elitist assholes. Spielberg isn't that good anymore. All right, so my number 2 is a Netflix movie. It was out last month, maybe. The Power of the Dog from Jane Campion.
That one has a lot of Oscar buzz.
Yes.
Too. I haven't seen it, but I've heard lots and lots of good stuff about that.
Same, yeah.
I had my doubts, to be honest, but it's really good. It's a bit of a slow burn, but at first I was let down by the ending because it didn't turn out the way I thought it would. But thinking about it afterwards, that ending is better than what I was expecting, And Cumberbatch is, awesome. He carries the movie. Visuals are nice as well. And the rest of the cast is great. Kirsten Dunst is really good as well. And his name is, he was Nightcrawler in the recent X-Men. Cody Smith-McPhee, is that it? I think. And Jesse Plemons as well. It's a bit slow, but it's worth a watch for sure.
I didn't realize Kirsten Dunst was in it. That's all I need to hear.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, she is really, really good. Solid. Okay, so Number one. John, what do you have?
So thankfully, I just got in to see this weekend. So it's going to be Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yep.
Such a good movie. And if you were following me on Twitter at the time, you know, I didn't get in the first night. It was sold out. And I waited in minus like 37, minus 42
Jesus.
in line
Wow.
forever. Almost got in. I thought I had hypothermia and then got turned away when I got there. The next day, tried again, still waited outside, and it was worth it. It was so good.
Wow.
And there's a lot of things about that movie that should not have worked. And if you're familiar with the original Spider-Man 3, a lot of the reason people said it didn't work was because it was too bloated with villains.
Yes.
There were more villains in this. And it still worked. And there was a lot of fan service, but it didn't get away of the story. It was just a brilliant superhero movie. I mean, I know superhero movies are not for everybody, but if you're a superhero movie fan, this will hit all your boxes. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll be honest, the last Spider-Man movie I saw was the third one was with Tobey Maguire, the one who was, bloated with villains,
Yes.
like you described.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Andrew Garfield versions.
Or the Tom Holland one.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they had too many of them in too short a time, and it kind of, I've had enough,
Yeah, overkill. I
Yes.
feel the same way about Batman. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's good to know. And I was pleasantly surprised by the positive buzz this movie has received. So maybe it will, get me back on the Marvel train. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay. Mike, what do you have?
So I'm cheating a little bit for this one because I only saw this a few weeks ago, but it's from 2019, so I apologize.
All right.
But it's a movie called Blinded by the Light. And if you haven't seen it, it's about a young man of Pakistani descent who lives in Luton in England.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes off to college and meets somebody who kind of turns him on to the music of Bruce Springsteen. And then, kind of through his lyrics, the boss ends up kind of talking to him and making him realize what life can be and what it, makes meaning of his own. And I loved it. I think it's probably one of the best films I've seen in 10 years, which again, I don't see a lot, but it stood out. It would be one that I would easily recommend to, everyone. And it's not necessary. It is a music movie, but it's not like, I don't think you don't have to be a Bruce Springsteen fan. You don't have to, you don't have to go in thinking I'm not going to know any of these songs and it's not going to make any sense to me, because the way that it's crafted and the way that they use, and I'm going to use a film term here, mise en scène.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice one. Thank you. Like they have text on the screen with the lyrics, and it's just, I loved it. It would be like a 9 out of 10 or possibly a 10 out of 10 on a good day movie for me.
But I did a Movies That Rock episode on that one, if anybody's interested in listening to it.
Oh, I must have missed it. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
That title rang a bell, but I was wondering, I heard of this before. Okay, so maybe that was why. 2019, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It said that it was leaving Netflix, so I was like, oh, I got to watch this. So I did. My wife and I watched it, and she liked it too. And, she's not a big Bruce Springsteen fan, or, she knows of him and knows, kind of the hits and stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I love the character story of the young guy in it. And it's just, it was great.
Okay. Awesome. Josh, your number one.
All right. My number one is, again, a documentary, and I'm going to go with Summer of Soul. Mm-hmm. Which was on Hulu, about the 1969, as they call it, like the Black Woodstock, the Lost Festival that took place in Harlem in the summer of 1969, and they released it with because the footage was in a vault for almost 5 decades, and the director and Questlove teamed up and took the best of the performances and tied them all together with some interviews from people. So the performers and some of the people who were there, and it might be my favorite rock documentary of all time. It's really, really powerful.
Wow.
The performances are just astonishing, and the footage they have is amazing. I mean, you get people like the Fifth Dimension and Stevie Wonder and Nina Simone gives one of the most probably earth-shattering performances I've ever seen in a music film. So yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough. And just to the whole, it talks a lot about, how it compared to Woodstock, happening around the same time, how this totally was, shadowed in comparison to Woodstock, because of, Woodstock was as big as it is, but also too, just because, people wouldn't promote black performers like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it really just fell by the wayside, which is a shame because it's, it's electrifying. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Jesus. Okay. Awesome. And you said it was on Hulu?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So north of the border, might be time to get creative.
I feel like it's on Disney up here.
Okay.
I think it's on Disney Plus. It's definitely on something that I have, and I have Disney Plus because I did see it come up, and I think I added it to my list as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Disney Plus does carry a lot of the Hulu shows in Canada. I do know that.
Yeah, well, like we got the McCartney and the Rick Rubin one, and I think it was on Disney up here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My number one is Dune. The more I think about that movie, the more I like it. It's not a perfect movie, of course, but it exceeded my expectations. The whole experience maybe gave me rose-colored glasses, but I saw it in an empty theater in Berlin 3 weeks before it came out in North America. It was, just awesome. Absolutely fantastic. And I cannot wait for part 2, personally.
Did you read the books, Patrick?
No, but I was familiar with what happened in them, but I never read them. Okay, so do you guys have a few honorable mentions for 2021? John, what do you have?
I don't have. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, there were a few other Marvel ones that came out. You mentioned them before, the Black Widow and Eternals. I enjoyed those. Eternals got unnecessarily slammed by critics, I think, but as Marvel's first miss. But you're talking about Dune and some of the scenes in that. There were some beautiful scenes in Eternals as well. So I would put those as my honorable mentions.
All right. Drew, what do you have?
I do not, but I will tell you one that it did come out this year, and I really want to see it, and I plan on seeing it during the holidays, is The Starling, with Chris O'Dowd and Melissa McCarthy.
Okay.
Apparently it's, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. Again, I don't know if it's terribly festive. It's quite a heavy subject, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I don't know anything about it.
I think, I don't know the premise. I've only seen the trailer, but I think one of them ends up in like in a mental health crisis, and then it's the other one trying to help the other get through it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Josh, what do you have?
I really only have one probably that I can mention, and it's Being the Ricardos, being the Lucille Ball freak that I am, with Nicole Kidman playing the lead role. And it was good. I was hoping for something a little bit more. The movie, like, structurally is kind of a mess. Like, it just kind of like goes all over the place. And then this happened, not necessarily in order. So everything's just kind of thrown together. And it's a little bit dry. I didn't find it as entertaining as it could have been. Lucille Ball, like one of the funniest comedians of all time, and the movie's kind of dry. You know what I mean? Like, they could have done more at that, but it was good. It was interesting enough, and the performances were decent. But I didn't.
You were pretty skeptical going.
I was, that, right? Yeah, I was. I didn't really know what they were going for. I wasn't sold on the casting. I'm still not crazy about Javier Bardem as Desi Arnaz. It won me over for the most part, but I don't know. I wouldn't include it in like my top movies of the year, though. But if you're interested, I'd say maybe check it out if it's on Netflix,
All right. I got a few in my honorable mentions. I can start with something called The Spine of Night. It is a rotoscoped animation, fantasy horror movie, extremely violent, and mostly maybe more oriented towards adults. There's a bit of a black magic theme around it as well. And if I could make a comparison, it's a bit like heavy metal You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It's like
Could you say the name again?
The Spine of Night.
Because this ends up my alley.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I think you'll like it. And for the voices, you have Patton Oswalt, you have Richard E. Grant, you have Lucy Lawless. And, the animation is a bit janky sometimes, but it was quite entertaining, I thought. So there you go. I also have the winner of the 2021 Palme d'Or at the Cannes Festival. It was called Titan. I don't know if you guys heard of it.
Oh, I have, and I really want to see that. Yeah, that's about the car, like the woman who sort of gets impregnated by a car.
Not quite. No, not quite. But she does get in a car accident as a kid, and she's got a titanium plate in her head.
A form of impregnation.
Yes.
But I heard it's got some really weird premise that
yes, because it takes a hell of a turn midway through, and I'm not gonna spoil anything. And I don't know if you guys remember the one of the edgy movies of last year called The Promising Young Woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that movie, Promising Young Woman, is a Hallmark movie compared to Stan. Yes. Wow. Yes. It's not even the same universe. It's it's super weird, but it kind of stays with you. And for a Palme d'Or winner, I was really surprised that it won because it went out there.
It was pretty controversial, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I get why.
Yeah. I really want to see that.
Yeah. If you can, check it out. It's I think it's on Apple TV.
Oh, I didn't think it was out yet. Okay.
Yep.
Good to know.
Wow.
Okay.
I cannot guarantee that you'll like it, but it's an experience, let's say. The next one, it just came out. It's called The Novice. I never know how to pronounce that stupid word. Novice. Novice. Okay. A college freshman joins her university's rowing team and undertakes an obsessive physical and psychological journey to make it to the top varsity boat, no matter at what cost. It is a mix of the movie Whiplash and the reality behind those, Nike Just Do It commercials when, people, push themselves to the brink. Well, that's the behind the curtain part.
She gets impregnated by the boat.
Yes. No, no, thank God. I really liked it. I'm still not sure about the ending, but it's intense, great acting. It's worth a look. I think it's on Amazon Prime, so check it out. And I got a few, but I'll save them for a few more. But I'll save them for another time. Okay, so let's stick with movies. Sorry, Drew, a few more minutes.
Okay.
I wanted to mention one documentary that I saw. It's Val, about Val Kilmer. Have you guys seen it?
Mm-mm.
I've heard good things, but no,
I've heard good things as well, but I haven't seen it.
It's good. It's a bit of it's a bit messy because it jumps from between the eras, but it's still solid and it's very raw because you see a few scenes that are really hard to watch. You see Kilmer at his most vulnerable. But no, I recommend it. It's a good watch. Okay, so now staying with movies, what is your most disappointing movie of this year, John?
Quiet Place 2. I did like the original, and then I just thought anything that was good about the first one, they just completely scrapped it.
Oh, wow. That bad, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. It's filmed around here, right around the area.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was it.
I haven't seen it yet, though.
Yeah.
Okay. You saw the first one?
Yeah.
You liked it?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
I think that's why I haven't seen the second one. I heard some mixed things about it, and I was like, I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just good to, leave things be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, sequels always had that reputation, right?
Right.
Of, never living up to the original. I mean, we can all think of exceptions, but that's what they are. They're exceptions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drew, what do you have at most disappointing movie?
I'm gonna pass this one over. To be honest, like I mentioned earlier, I don't watch a lot of films, and I was thinking about this earlier, and I didn't really have one that I was like, oh, I wish I had that, 2 hours back. So, I mean, maybe I've been fortunate enough, but it's more because I just haven't seen that much. So I'm sure there was probably something. I know I watched one. I can't even remember the title, but Julia Roberts' daughter was in a Netflix movie. It's kind of one of those Christmas holiday. That's what it's called.
Okay.
It's another Netflix rom-com. Again, we were kind of looking for something lighthearted, and I think my wife liked it better than I did. Just, it was everything that Holiday wasn't, in the sense that it just hit every check, ticked every box in your cliched rom-com.
Okay.
And nope. But really, I mean, other than that, and even then I was kind of like, but just nothing really stood out. But again, that's more because I just haven't seen a lot of films.
I kind of love that the titles of rom-coms and the titles of horror movies are kind of interchangeable.
Absolutely.
Like Holiday.
Holiday. It's like, it's just how you say it, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Josh, what do you have?
Mine probably, so the Sparks Brothers made my favorite movies, and I also obviously love musicals because I had 2 of them on my list. And so I was really excited to see Annette, which is a movie musical composed by Sparks and with Adam Driver's in it.
Yeah. Okay, that's the one. Okay, yep.
And I hated it.
Oh, wow.
Like, what is this? It was like, for me, it was like borderline unwatchable. Like, it was just... I don't even know, like, it was morbid and twisted and weird, and not in a way that I found intriguing. It was just mostly in a very annoying way. Really, really long, quirky for the sake of being quirky without actually having anything like creative to say.
Okay.
At least that's what I got from it. And it just, I just could not get into it. It was not for me at all.
So a hot take, kind of like Hair by the Monkey. No, what's the Monkeys movie?
Oh,
Is that called Hair?
Head. Yeah.
Head.
Yeah.
I could not.
Yeah.
I wanted to like, being the Monkeys.
Right.
But,
yeah, that's an acquired taste, that movie. And I think Annette probably is too, in a taste that I haven't acquired as of yet.
Any redeeming qualities?
The actors are good. And I mean, the music, the songs are really catchy, because obviously it's Sparks. So I would listen to the soundtrack, but as the actual movie itself, I wasn't really into it.
Did they direct the movie as well?
No. Oh gosh, I can't remember who directed it. Let me look this up real quick. Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Well, just while you look that up, I made a mistake. It's not Julia Roberts' daughter. It's Eric Roberts' daughter. So Julia's niece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not that you care, because it wasn't a good movie, but
It's isn't it Emma Roberts?
Emma Roberts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
She was, a few years ago, she was in this movie. Oh God, I forgot the title, but I thought it wasn't it? Oh, Jesus. Now I got to look it up. I apologize.
No, 2 people are looking things up.
John, we'll talk amongst ourselves.
Wasn't it like not the Dare, but oh my God, now I'm going insane. I'm probably going to cut some of this out.
Why? It's gold.
Nerve. Yes, Nerve. That's it.
Nerve
from 2016.
Never heard it.
It started as it gave the impression of being this shitty rom-com, and I was like, this is shit, what am I doing? And about maybe, 20 or 25 minutes in, it took a turn, and I was on board for the rest of the movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise, actually. 2016 American techno thriller adventure film. So yeah, there we go, with Emma Roberts and Dave Franco, Juliette Lewis, and
most importantly, Machine Gun Kelly.
Most importantly, for sure.
Okay.
Who was Tommy Lee in The Dirt.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, he was very good in that, because all the interviews and footage I've ever seen of Tommy Lee, like, he nailed it. But
Machine Gun Kelly's kind of on the path of becoming the new Tommy Lee anyway, so
possibly
they're just priming him. Does the name Leos Carax ring a bell? Carax, a French director.
What else has he done?
Nothing that I heard of. Holy Motors.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
That too directed Annette.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's a bit of a weird movie, but good. Holy Motors. So I don't know. All right. So, okay. My most disappointing movie was for this year. And I talked about that movie with Aaron recently. It was No Time to Die. It was the opposite of Dune for me. The more I thought of that movie, the less I liked it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the Fleabag lady. Yeah, okay. She did some rewrites, I think, for No Time to Die, if I remember. And the parts where she wrote the dialogue, they jump out from the rest of the movie. And it really shows. And it's, I mean, have you guys seen it?
No.
Okay.
No. It's actually on my list. That's the next film we're going to watch over the next couple of weeks. So
I mean, okay, I don't want to spoil too much. Well, I mean, okay, I'll say, but no, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think the Daniel Craig era has been very hit or miss.
I agree.
You know, I think it started strong and then it kind of, it hasn't been consistent since the first one. So
yes, I agree. Casino Royale and Skyfall were excellent. The rest were so. I'd say kids don't belong in a James Bond movie. I said that with Aaron, and I'll stick to that. And if I go to a sushi restaurant, I want to have sushi. I don't want to have pizza. You know, reinventing the James Bond character for me, it's, you know, it is what it is, for better or worse. And you can only change it so much before it turns into something else and it doesn't work anymore. You know?
And they really tried to reinvent him in this movie?
I'd say so. And a few parts were really, you know, eye-rolling worthy. But it's not a bad movie. I mean, I've been shitting all over it for the past 5 minutes, but it's not a bad movie. But in some regard, in hindsight, it is a bit disappointing to see what they did with it.
Right.
All right. So that's it for movies. Do you guys have anything to add regarding movies?
No, I just hope in 2022 I'll see maybe 2 or 3 more movies than this one.
Maybe I'll return to a. Maybe I'll return to I don't want to wait in minus 35-degree weather to go to the movies, but I wouldn't mind going to a movie. That might be better.
Roger that. All right. So we will talk about TV in a second. All right. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. I mean, if you guys don't mind, I can mention the other honorable mentions.
Yeah, go for it.
There was this German movie called I'm Your Man, but it was shot in German and shot in Berlin, and it stars Dan Stevens from Downton Abbey.
Oh.
Okay, so a scientist at the Pergamon Museum in Berlin is persuaded to participate in a study to get funding for her research. For 3 weeks, she must live with a humanoid robot designed to be the perfect life partner for her. It is a science fiction romantic comedy, if you like, and I was pleasantly surprised.
It sounds a little bit like Her.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen that one, but yep.
Just gender swapped, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is the German entry for the best international film for next year's Oscars. I don't know if it will be in the final list, but it is the German entry. Mm-hmm. It was a pleasant surprise. It was smarter than I thought it would be.
Right.
And the characters are, you know, plausible, and Dan Stevens is excellent. I didn't know he spoke German, and his German is good with a bit of an accent.
I was going to ask when you said it was him if he was speaking in German or if it was...
Yeah. The entire movie, the original title is Ich bin dein Mensch, I'm your man.
Yeah.
So and he speaks German with an accent, but they work it into the movie pretty cleverly, and. So yeah, check it out if you can. And the other one was from 2017. It's called Dave Made a Maze. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a comedy horror type. Dave, a frustrated artist who has yet to accomplish anything significant in his career, builds a fort out of cardboard boxes in his living room, only to wind up trapped by the fantastical pitfalls and critters of his own creation. It is quirky and very creative, yeah, and it's definitely got its own kind of charm. And it's only an hour and 20 minutes.
Right.
It's that was another pleasant surprise. I think it's on Amazon Prime as well, and I think it's on Peacock for the 5 people who are subscribers. Yes. So yeah, that's my honorable mentions list. All right, so TV. I don't have much to say about TV this year, to be honest. We can start with you, John. What do you have?
No surprise here. I'm going to stick to a lot of superhero stuff. So I'm going to say Hawkeye. Pleasant surprise. He was nobody's favorite Avenger, but TV show is quite well done. It's set around Christmas, and the new person sort of taking on the mantle of Hawkeye is played by Haley Steinfeld, and she's amazing in it, and they have great chemistry together. It's just such a fun series.
I've heard good things about it. I've seen the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki, and that's it.
Right. Okay.
So how would you say it compares to the other?
Well, I will say out of the 4 or 5 Disney series that came out, the 2 that you mentioned don't make my 5. So I like, and I didn't mind the ones you mentioned there, but I put it above those.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think they try as hard to take on as many big major issues or this the big sci-fi premise of Loki. It's just a fun action movie. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but it's for entertainment. It's just super fun.
If I remember, they had to rewrite a lot of stuff for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier because I think the original premise was a pandemic. Actually, because I think in one of the episodes they mentioned stealing a truck full of vaccine.
Yeah.
And they don't mention it again in the rest of the series.
That reference slid through. Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Mike, what do you have for TV?
Okay, so we're going 5-1 again.
Whatever you want.
Okay. I have quite a few.
Okay.
I don't have to spend a lot of time on them, but I'll just give you one right now. So
sure.
If we were doing 5-1, my number 5 would be a show called Rosehaven, which is an Australian comedy. It's very British. And when I say very British, it's very dry, kind of like the British Office. I would compare it to that. Not that it's a mockumentary, but it's just that kind of humor. So I think if you enjoyed that, you'd probably like this. It's the 5th and final season. Apparently, the final season just happened back in the summer, or the winter in Australia, ironically enough. And it's just about 2 friends who have been living in the mainland. They go back to a small town in Tasmania called Rosehaven. And the guy whose name is Daniel, his mom owns a real estate agency in this small town. And when he goes back, him and his friend, who's a Australian comedian, I'm going to butcher her last name. It's Celia Kula, I believe. The 2 of them go and they start working for Luke McGregor, Daniel's mom. Mm-hmm. And in this final season, his mom decides that she's retiring, and it's who am I going to leave the real estate agent office to or business to? And it's very heartwarming, and it's just dry and it's witty, and I think you could watch it. I mean, I don't think my 10-year-old would like it, but there's nothing in there that he couldn't see. And it's just the town cast of characters in this small town kind of adds this charm, and it's so beautifully written and just charming. And I'm trying to think of other cliche words to throw at it, but it's so sweet. And I just and it's been on for a few years, and this was the final season, and I think they went off on a high. So
nice.
What's it on?
So what's that? Tactically
acquiring? Yes.
Acquired, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure you can find it. It's probably on something, but
yeah. It sounds like something I'd be into. That's what I'm at.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's clever, and I recommend it. But it's one of those things. It's like, I think an acquired taste. Like, there's a lot of people who got into the American Office, and then when they watch the British one, they go, I don't get it, it's just not, it's slow or whatever. And I'm sure there are some people who think this is slow. There was one season, I think it was maybe 3 or 4. There was some of it I didn't care for too much. I did think it was slow, but I thought this last season was great. And starting from the beginning, if this is your kind of thing, I think people would appreciate it.
What's the title again?
Rosehaven. Rosehaven. All right.
Josh, do you have anything that stood out for you this year on TV?
Well, Supermarket Sweep was rebooted this year, so that was exciting.
Yeah, we talked about that year, I think, right?
Oh, did we?
Nice.
I don't remember. Maybe we did.
I think we did.
Yeah, we probably did. Yeah,
I think you did too. I'm listening to it. Yeah.
I actually, I did watch the remake of Scenes from a Marriage that they did on HBO, which was the remake of the old Ingmar Bergman miniseries from the 70s with Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac were in it. It's pretty much just the two of them the whole time over the 4 episodes. It was very good. It's Reasons Why I'm Still Single, the movie, is pretty much what it is. But yeah, but it's they both both amazing actors, and if you're into that kind of like chamber piece kind of thing, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And Drew, also, I have been watching Ted Lasso here and there, and it is very enjoyable.
Nice.
So, thank you for that.
That will come up for me.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, and me as well. So.
All right.
And it's a real, it says a lot that I even got my parents into watching it, and my parents are very much TV Scrooges. So for them to like it, that says a lot.
All right. Okay, so John, what else do you have for TV?
Well, my number 4 was the second season of Ted Lasso.
Okay.
So I don't know. I kind of feel the way you were describing Rosehaven as the sort of slow but it's still, there's a charm to it. And it's a show that anybody describing to me before wasn't selling me on the show. Have you all seen it? I know you have, Drew, because
it's going to be my number 1.
Okay. But yeah, so I have no idea why it works for me or why it clicks for me. But yeah, I like the show for all the redemption that happens. Now, of course, in season 2, there's a character that does the opposite of redeeming himself, but that adds to it and adds to the appeal for what's coming in season 3. So just love the cast of characters and the acting.
And I love the fact that they introduced a new character who didn't seem out of place. The psychiatrist. Yeah, who didn't seem out of place. It wasn't like, hey, how can we prolong this? Right. It did have the one quirky episode with Coach Beard.
Yeah.
You know,
where it's just focus on him and solely.
Yeah, and I guess the theory is I was listening to another television podcast actually recently, and I guess in series 1 it was 10 episodes, and then 12 were ordered because of the success of the first one for the second season, and then the thought is kind of that, okay, what are we going to do? And then they threw this. And it's kind of a head trip, the whole episode of, following Coach Beard around, sketchy East End London. And I that one didn't connect with me. I'm not going to say it did, but I think
it was a bit of a filler episode.
Yeah, but the series as a whole, I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So it's Drew, your turn, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I took over from John.
That's okay.
No.
Well, if you want, I'll say a couple, and then I'll leave my maybe number 2. Just I don't know how many people. If everybody has 5, I can keep going. I don't want to throw off this thing here.
I don't have 5.
Okay, there you go. So I'll say Kim's Convenience, which I talked about earlier.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it ended this year, kind of around dubious circumstances. I don't know the whole story. I'm sure people can Google it. But if you don't know the show, it's about a family in Toronto of Korean descent, and they own a convenience store, and their last name is Kim, hence why it's called Kim's Convenience. And the family, it's just about their relationships with each other and their coworkers and their friends. Again, it's another one of these heartwarming shows. Again, I could show my 10-year-old. He may not get all the jokes, but there's nothing in there that I would really concern myself too much with. Beautifully acted. The relationships among the characters are, just, again, heartwarming. Again, it's almost very British to me. It's there's a lot of, great wit and things like that, but it's kind of dry at times. But I think it's probably one of the best things that the CBC here in Canada has created in a long time. So I was unfortunately, it ended I feel like it didn't end the way they wanted it to, because I think the series kind of got pulled. And again, I think the circumstances around that, I'm sure somebody knows them. I don't really know. I didn't follow the story. I just saw that it kind of happened. But again, I love the show anyway. And I thought this season was just as good as, the last couple.
All right. Josh, what do you have next?
I'll go with this with the latest season of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, that's good to hear because I was a fan all along, but I haven't seen this one yet. So that's good.
It's very good. Yeah, he's still as potent as ever.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that much TV, to be honest. One that jumps to mind is Squid Game on Netflix. I don't know if
it's a kid show. Yeah,
that's my number. That's my number 2.
Okay,
I have that one on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I was reluctant to watch. I just didn't want to. It sort of, I guess, like Ted Lasso. I thought I don't want to jump on the bandwagon, but I guess these shows are popular for a reason, right? Because I tried it and I quite enjoyed it. I find it very interesting too that for all the talk about Hollywood needs to be more diverse, and it almost seems like a big chore to get people of a different ethnicity in their movies and stuff. When Squid Game comes along, they had no illusions to ever be marketed to an American audience, and it's all Korean actors, well, for the most part, and all told in Korean, and it just became this phenomenon. It just shows if the writing is good, people don't care, right? It was just a great show, and I would say the worst actors in it were the white,
the VIPs, yes,
that came in. Yeah, they were bizarrely terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, but I love the show itself for sure.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect because of all the hype, but it wasn't a chore to watch all of it. Let's say.
Yeah,
it's a low bar, but there you go.
Except for the VIPs.
Yes.
Hey, Josh, did your kindergartners like
they
it?
Loved it? Yeah. Loved it. Good practice for reading, though. Yeah, it's subtitled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. The only other thing I had on my list was a cartoon named Invincible. I don't know if you heard of it.
That's my number 1.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, perfect.
We like a lot of the same stuff.
It's from Robert Kirkman, I think, who...
Yeah, same guy who did
Walking Dead, exactly. And what's interesting about it, it is like visually, it's like those cartoons from the 90s. You know, the colors are very bright. And it doesn't have to be super sophisticated with the animation, but it's, it works. And it's, ultra violent, plenty of it. And that was I wasn't sure what to expect, but another pleasant surprise.
And back to the animation, when somebody first recommended it to me and I tried it initially, I was skeptical with the animation. It just didn't look great to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it worked. And I think if the story's there, the animation doesn't necessarily need to be fantastic. I know, like, the disappointment for me this year was the Marvel What If series, where the animation was better, I think, than Invincible, but it just became boring after a while.
Whereas that's what I heard.
Invincible, I'm looking forward to the second season. Yeah. It was just great.
To be honest, I almost bailed after the first episode, but the ending of the first episode kept me in.
Exactly.
You remember what happened?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you have?
I'm going to throw a couple in just because I feel like I've got quite a bid list here. But I will say the last season of Line of Duty, which is a BBC crime drama.
Good shout.
Really enjoyed that. I'm going to throw one in that I think Patrick and I may be the only two here that can appreciate this. But I thought the coverage of Euro last summer was
excellent.
I really like the punditry. I like, and I really like the obviously the games. It was great having sport this summer, and obviously there was nothing more dramatic than the final 10 minutes, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately it didn't go the way I would hope, but whatever. This Great Canadian Baking Show just ended. I really enjoyed that. I think they do a great job. It's obviously based on the British one. It follows the same, method as the British one does. But again, I really liked it. There's a French show. I think this kind of happened at the end of 2020, and I may not have seen it until 2021. But there's a great show on Netflix, a French show called Call My Agent.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the final season of that. I really enjoyed it. There's a show on Vice called Dark Side of the Ring.
Okay.
And it's a documentary show. Each episode is about, I think there's a couple 2-parters, But each episode is about something scandalous in the wrestling industry. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
And
Who knew?
who knew? For example, the last one was about the WWF steroid trial back in the early 90s.
Okay.
But they do an amazing job, and they do these reenactments. And I think the reenactments are all actually shot in Toronto, but they do it in a way that it's kind of like those early 90s music videos. They have that kind of look to them where it's like, like if you think of Enter Sandman, right? The Metallica video, if you can think of like the darkness to it, but you can tell like there's silhouettes and you know what's happening. And they do that intertwined through the actual story. And it doesn't deter. It actually enhances the show. I think they do an amazing job. And you can take a subject that you don't really even have an interest in, and it makes it interesting. They did one this season about, there was a WCW, which was Ted Turner's organization in the 90s.
Yeah.
They did a trip to North Korea. And because the North Korean government was trying to do this like propaganda thing where they had people come to this wrestling show. But the funny thing is that people in North Korea had never seen wrestling before. So they really didn't understand what was happening. Muhammad Ali was also on the show because of the fact that he was a star there. And just the stories that these guys tell, and it was just guys, it was no females, unfortunately, going to North Korea and doing these shows and being locked in their hotels and having their passports taken. I mean, the way I look at a good documentary is the topic doesn't matter if the story is there and it's told well. And my wife sat and watched that one with me. And I thought, if she's into this, like, then it must be good. So I think they do a really good job with that. And then I have some honorable mentions, but I'll save that for if you want to come back to me. Because, I have a couple.
Okay, sure. Josh, what do you have?
The Tokyo Summer Olympics were really great and entertaining.
Absolutely.
I'm not the biggest sports guy, but I do get obsessed with the Olympics when they're on.
Well, you need to talk to Karen then.
yeah. That's right.
I'll be honest, I don't remember anything from those Olympics for some reason. That's odd.
Well, Simone Biles didn't. She pulled out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, that's now that should I be worried? I don't remember anything from them.
No, I think you know what too. Look. It was kind of like Euro in the sense that Euro was a little different because the crowds were there, right? But the crowds weren't in Japan. And I think the stories being told were a little different in the Olympics as opposed to compared to Euro this year because they had full stadiums and it had already been delayed, just like the Olympics, right? So yeah, the Olympic. I know what you're saying though. It was hard to kind of. You can always, and maybe from different countries, like as Canadians, we can look back at the 2010 Winter Olympics and go, "It's when Canada won the gold in the final game," right? And you have those moments, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, it struggles. I mean, as Canadians, we had Andre DeGrasse do well this year.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah, I think maybe that's a country by country. The views would be different for the Olympics this year. That's a good one though, Josh. I never even remembered that.
Yeah. All right. So, John, do you have anything else for TV?
Yeah, the only one I have left would be my number 3 spot because I already told you.
Yeah,
I jumped in a little bit. And that would be WandaVision. And I had to go back to think that was even in 2021 because it started in January, right? So it just seems.
But it's been.
Yeah, exactly. But that one was really creative because they're sort of spoof of different decade sitcoms. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. My wife, who's not a big Marvel superhero person, even got really engaged in that one, but she was totally caught up in the character of Wanda and the whole idea of grief, the way they were dealing with it, but still in a funny way. Maybe it fell apart a little bit. I don't know if they stuck the landing, but there's rumors about, again, how the pandemic affected the final shooting and stuff like that. But it didn't sour me on the series as a whole. It was one of Marvel's more creative, out of left field sort of projects for sure.
All right. I haven't watched it, but I agree about the catching people by surprise on how creative it was. You know, people did not expect that.
Yeah. And I got to give Marvel credit. They take, for everybody saying, oh no, another superhero thing, they do still take risks with projects like that. Like they, it would be quite easy to follow a formula every single movie or TV show, but they definitely did not follow a formula with that one.
Good shout. All right. So Drew, your honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions, Trying, which is a Apple TV show. This was the second season. It's about a couple in London who are trying to conceive. They can't, so they try to adopt, and kind of the trials and tribulations of that happening. Apparently, there's a third season. And it's actually, and I can't remember his name, but it's Timothy Spall, who's a well-known British actor.
Yes.
It's his son is the male lead, and him and his wife, and I can't remember her name. I apologize. And you know what? I mean, this year was, again, COVID. So we kind of went back to some shows, and I won't dwell on them, but we binged the entire Parks and Recreation, which I've never seen.
Yeah.
Loved it. It's, Leslie Knope is a hero. Like, I think I love her. Just fantastic. And then we started to, we were kind of looking for something not that long ago, actually. We kind of like having a half-hour show on the back burner if we ever need to, I don't want to watch something an hour or a movie or whatever. Let's, we got this to fall back on. And we started to watch New Girl. And I'll be honest, I liked the first season. The second season I didn't like as much, and then I stopped. And as did my wife. So, and then I don't know if we're going to come to like what we're looking forward to, because I have a couple that are coming up, but
Sure.
Well,
okay.
For New Girl, skip ahead to the Prince episode if you watch no other episode of the series. He made a guest appearance on New Girl, and that's worth watching.
It's all right. Awesome. Okay, so I haven't seen Get Back yet. My plan again is to sit on the couch for an entire day and just plow through it. I want to see Shrink Next Door. Yeah, it's tea for me.
Yeah.
Not black because high in oxalate, unfortunately. Shrink Next Door, I'd like to see. I haven't heard anything about it other than, it's Apple TV. It's Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd.
Everybody's been recommending that one to me as well. So I got.
Yeah, I haven't seen any reviews on it. Not on purpose, just haven't. Afterlife, I heard the next season of that is coming on Netflix, and I love Ricky Gervais, and I love that show, and it's just heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. And apparently that, and then The Wonder Years, because I'd like to see what the redo of that is, with a black family at the same time, in similar like in a similar time frame, and I don't know much more about it than that, but what I've heard sounds really intriguing, and I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
All right. Josh, did you have honorable mentions?
I mean, I could throw Get Back in there. That's probably the only other big TV thing that I watched. I mean, it's not really for the casual fan. There were some moments where I was kind of getting a little itchy with it, because it's a lot of just them playing the same song over and over and over again.
Testing your patience.
Yeah. And I think, if you're like a diehard, like it's a dream come true. I don't know. It's good for it. I'm glad we have it. It's great archival footage. It's mastered a little weird.
Okay.
Like
what do you mean?
The footage, because it was so grainy, I imagine when they found it that they almost over processed it to the point of where sometimes they almost look like watercolor paintings rather than people.
Okay.
But no, I mean, it's cool that it exists. It's fascinating, and but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for everybody.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
John, have you?
I started to, but the length, and I enjoyed what I watched, but the length of the thing is sort of daunting to me. Yeah. So I will, but I'll just pick at it here and there.
It's funny. I was listening to, I believe it was the Chris Jericho podcast, and they were talking about it. And somebody made the point that Peter Jackson should have made like a 2-hour version for everybody, right? That's for the whole universe. And then you've got all this like bonus footage on a Blu-ray or DVD or whatever for the second. Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can switch gears and go to music this time. And
1 second.
Yes, please.
Sorry, if I didn't do my honorable mention.
Please, sorry.
But I was just gonna say Saturday Night Live this season, with the exception of the Kim Kardashian episode, because nobody needed that. But the younger writers they have on the show have really changed the energy there, and I've started really enjoying it again. I'm excited for things to come for these new writers. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't know about it. I was watching it religiously in the 90s, and then I stopped. And I guess it could be a good time to.
Yeah, and I mean, some of their more long-term casts on there are fantastic actors, Kate McKinnon and Cecily Strong and these people. But just the new energy coming in with the writers is palpable. It's really cool.
Okay, no, awesome.
I got old and can't stay up that late.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Could be a factor.
The last one I watched was the Eddie Murphy one when he came back.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved that, but there was a nostalgia part to that for me. So,
but I mean, the whole thing about staying up late, I never watch it actually live anymore.
Oh, okay.
Nobody does that.
And then you have to watch the commercials and all that. No, screw that. You can watch it the next day.
That's right.
All right, so we can move on to music, and I got absolutely zilch for music. So it's all you guys go crazy.
That surprises me, Patrick, actually.
Why?
I don't know. I thought you'd be more into, I know you're a music guy, but just maybe not new music. Like, not even the new Duran Duran album didn't make your...
Honestly, no, because my brain is weird. I cannot listen to music while I'm working because I focus on the lyrics, and then it completely breaks my focus. For some reason, I can listen to podcasts, though, when I'm working. For that reason, I'm like trapped in, amber when it comes to music. I haven't heard anything new in years.
Okay.
So you didn't hear anything in Berlin that you were like, I can't wait to get home and tell everybody about the big new thing that's coming?
No, honestly, no. I am a terrible name that tune player for that reason. Yeah, I have my wheelhouse and it's set in stone. So I don't know if you guys had a top 5 or...
Yep.
Okay, so please, John.
My 5th is Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. My daughter, no surprise, introduced me to her. But really cool, exciting music coming from the younger generation there. Now, some of the songs maybe are a bit, I don't know, a bit derivative or just outright stealing from some of the past stuff, but it's fine because they were all great.
All right.
Like one of the songs, Brutal, is obviously using Pump It Up by Elvis Costello. But, I mean, it's good people to steal from if you're... right?
You could do worse.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Drew, what do you have?
Number 5, I've got Typhoons by a band called Royal Blood. They're a British 2-piece. It was produced by Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age. I'm not normally a fan of that kind of stuff, but I actually really like this record.
Or that kind of person.
Or people like him. But that being said, like it's one of those things. Like when I was clubbing in my early 20s, and I would go to quote unquote alternative clubs, like the songs on this would have fit back then. Probably would have been good booty shakers on the dance floor. And yeah, I really like it. It's actually one of the few vinyls that I bought from new artists this year. So
okay.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
All right, Josh, what do you have?
Well, damn, we're doing the top 5. I was not prepared for this at all.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
I'm just gonna wing it then if we're doing a round table. 5, I'll go with Daddy's Home, St. Vincent. I just love the 70s throwback vibe of it. Listening to it on a vinyl is like, it's like going back in time.
That's my 3rd, Josh.
Is it? Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know you and I felt a little bit different about it because I like it, most of the songs, but I can listen to it and shuffle. Don't tell Adele. But I know...
Well, St. Vincent allows you to listen to it and shuffle.
Right. But I know you said before you look at it more as just a great album beginning to end, whereas me, I don't have that connection to it, but I feel it's just a fantastic collection of songs.
Fair enough. I do see it kind of like a cohesive piece. Because I think they all kind of have the same sort of that same retro kind of throwback 70s-ish thing going on that kind of ties it all together. So, but individually, there's it is a great collection of songs as well.
All right, John, you're number 4.
I haven't spent as much time with this one because it didn't come out until more recently. But the Robert Plant and Alison Krauss Raise the Roof album, I love their first one, so I was sort of nervous about them trying it again, thinking they wouldn't be able to recapture it, but they did. I love what I've heard so far.
Nice.
Yeah. I think there's more originals on this one too. The last one was more covers, but
okay. Drew, what do you have?
Number 4, I've got an artist named Chris Catalyst. He's a British singer, song. I don't want to say singer songwriter because then people think like folk. This is definitely a rock record. It's called Kaleidoscopes. Came out earlier in the year. It's fun, kind of power pop, punky, hard rock, very melodic, great hooks, and just a lot of fun. And but he kind of it's a COVID record, so that lyrically it actually covers some kind of heavy topics. And he's got a song on there called Happy, which is I think what a lot of people were feeling this year, just because it's not, and he's trying to figure out a way to feel happy. So really solid record. And if you like that kind of, I don't want to say Weezer-ish stuff, but in that ballpark, I think if and kind of like the newer British bands like Massive Wagons, I think if he actually toured with Massive Wagons, and I really liked it.
Nice. I'm just directing traffic in this section. Josh, what do you have?
Me? I thought John was up.
Oh, I mean, you said you were going to wing it. I was just wondering if you had another thing in mind for music that, stayed with you.
Oh, you mean like my number 4 pick, or?
Yeah.
Let John go first because we're going out of order.
Okay.
And it's gonna really mess me up.
I lost track of the order, Josh. So
no problem.
It didn't matter on my end, but I will go. That's fine. I'll speed things along because I already spoke about my number 3, which was St. Vincent's Daddy's Home. So we can go right back to you.
Okay. All right. I'm on number 4. I'm just pulling this out of thin air. I'm going to go with the new Sufjan Stevens in his album with a singer I never heard of named Angelo D'Agostino. They did a concept album about movies. They got together and watched a whole bunch of like classic movies and wrote a song about each of them that they watched. The album's called A Beginner's Mind. It's beautiful. It's really, really gorgeous.
What kind of movies, for example?
Like there's a song that they wrote about the Signs of the Lambs after they watched that. And it's kind of just like, this is how they feel after they watch it. They wrote a song about it and made an album.
Okay.
All About Eve there's a song about that. Wizard of Oz, that kind of thing, like old movies. But The Thing, they did a song about that.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful, beautiful album. I loved it. So
I guess it's true that Silence of the Lambs could be considered an old movie now.
Yeah.
And it's depressing.
30 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
Who saw it at the theater? I did.
Oh, wow.
I did too. Yes. Oh my God. I remember people losing their shit when the Buffalo Bills scene with the Goodbye Horses. I remember there was a girl in my peripheral vision. I saw her, curse out loud in French, and it was she was ready to throw something at the screen, I think.
Tabernacle.
Yeah. That's exactly what she said, actually.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah, you could see the mouth. Tabernacle. Yeah, good times. Drew, what do you have?
Number 3, I have a British singer named Laura Mulva. I think I'm pronouncing her last name right. She had a record called Pink Noise. It is I don't want to say it's an 80s throwback pop record, because I don't think that would do it justice. But I think it's similar in the sense that like maybe what The Weeknd's doing now, in that kind of vibe. But her voice is very understated, almost like in a Grace Jones kind of way. And I don't think Grace Jones is a bad comparison either. Michael Jackson, but it's a lot of fun. The first single was called Got Me. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, yep, this is one of my songs of the year. And it's just a lot of fun. And I mean, I think I look at this panel and I go, Josh, this would be right up your alley.
All right.
So
I will mark it down.
It's really good. I liked it a lot.
Oh, nice.
Did you say her last name was Mulva, like the Seinfeld joke?
Yeah, so it's
Dolores Mulva.
Mula. Yeah. So I think, but I actually wrote it phonetically because I was like, I'm not sure how to, and I listened to an interview and I'm like, I think that's it. And then it was like a week ago and now I'm like, is it that? I can't remember. So.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right.
MVULA, right?
Yes.
And
the record's called Mvula. I think it's,
Okay.
I think the M is like, I think it's like extended.
That's like an African thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Pink Noise and it's really good.
Okay, awesome.
Just added it.
I think, Josh, you're up.
Okay, well, I mean, this was a watershed year for me as an ABBA freak, so I got to go with Voyage for number 3. Gorgeous album. Never thought I'd ever see them do anything ever again. And yeah, it really just met my expectations. People kind of were like pissy about it because it wasn't like an album full of dancing queens, but that's never what they were about. They were just always about the songwriting, and the songs are gorgeous. And it's a miracle that 40 years later they decided to do something. So
I think it suffered from the first single choice, though. I can't remember what the song was called.
I still have faith in you. If I could pose any criticism towards it, I would say the production in parts is a little bit lacking because a lot of the engineers who were the magicians on a lot of the old singles, are either passed away or not in good enough health to participate. So I think it kind of suffered in that regard. But I don't know. I think the songwriting is as exquisite as it ever was. So,
Josh, do you know if they're new songs or were like the old songs that they just never completed? Or?
There's only one that's the case for. Yeah.
Right.
Oh. So. Everything else is brand new?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. All right. And would you say, I mean, I know about that album, but I'm not aware of the reviews overall. They were positive.
They were mixed. Mixed?
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. They're in the middle. Okay. But I think a lot of people too, like I said, because ABBA Gold, their greatest hits is, and the Mamma Mia soundtrack is like such, they're baked in. But like their albums proper, if you will, are a little bit more eclectic and not quite as poppy as that would lead you to believe. And I think people were expecting something different from Voyage than what they actually got, which was more in line of, a little bit more eclectic and slow, more of a slow burn than that sort of thing, if that makes sense.
All right. Okay. John, what's next on your list?
Okay. I definitely became more of a Weezer fan this year. I know Weezer, a lot of people abandoned them long ago, but I was never really, with the exception of the Blue album, was never really into Weezer. But they put out 2 great albums this year, and I'm going to go with OK Human. I think the orchestra that they work with on most of the songs fit them like a glove. Lots of really good songs on there.
I love that one too. That was great.
Oh yeah, if you guys want to comment on those choices, go right ahead, because I can I will listen politely and say, all right, okay.
I can say that's the one of the 2 records that I haven't had a chance to really listen to yet.
Really?
Yeah, I like the other one. I think it was kind of yeah.
So that one I didn't like as much initially when it came out. I just thought it was more of a fun.
Yeah.
Let's put some concert songs out that we'll play in concert and people will have a good time, but it wasn't a whole lot of thought. But that one grew on me way more than I expected it to. But I still like OK Human more. But Van Weezer did grow on me, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, I was never a huge Weezer fan, but I love the Green album. And I think Van Weezer was, I don't want to say comparable, but like, I don't think it was that far of a step away from it. So,
more guitar.
Yeah, just guitar fun for me. Yeah. So,
all right, Drew, do you have another one on your list?
I have 2 more.
Okay.
So one is a song and one is an album. So I'm going to go my top album of the year. I'm surprised Josh didn't put ABBA as his number 1. But for me, my favorite band besides the Beatles is the Wild Hearts. And I won't get into it, but Ginger Wildheart, who's the kind of the leader of the band, is a huge Sparks fan. And I think the thing about the Wild Hearts is like, there's an old saying that like, if you are listening to a Wild Heart song and you don't like it, give it 30 seconds because it's going to change. And, it's a Spark. And that's totally a Sparks thing, right? Where it's just, there's so many different parts. Like, it feels like a couple songs all kind of pieced together to make one, but it works and it suits it. And so their newest album was called 21st Century Love Songs. Wild Heart fans were like, what does that mean? Like, and they kept saying it's an angry COVID record. It is the best way to describe it. Their last record was their first in a long time, which came out 2 years ago, called Renaissance Men. And that has jumped into probably one of my top 10 albums of all time. So when this record came out, I kind of thought, and then the singles I'd heard once or twice. I was trying not to spoil it because I had ordered a limited edition vinyl, which I was waiting for. And when it came, I have to be honest that initially I thought it's okay. It's going to be one of those albums that when it comes on shuffle on my phone or something, it'll be fine. But I've listened to it, 20 times since then. And so Renaissance Men is my favorite Wild Hearts record, one of my favorite albums of all time. I would say it's slightly a step below, but it is amazing. And for me, being a fan, I don't know if I'd recommend it to everybody. But again, if you love hard rock that's smart, I'm going to use the word smart. It's not dummy. Like, it's not... I don't want to throw any bands
Name
under
someone.
the bus, but
Name someone.
No. But there's a lot of stuff that you hear on the radio, and it's very catchy and it's very instant. And this is not that record. This is it's heavy at times. It's Cheap Trick power pop at times. It's and the lyrics are he's I don't know what it is about him, but his lyrics always speak to me. And this year, like a lot of those are reflected in COVID and lockdowns and, things that he was going through in Britain and, which was similar to here. And it's just, I mean, if Renaissance Men is a 10 out of 10 for me, this is a 9 out of 10. So, and I love it.
Nice. So I guess we are up to number 1, I think, or 2, or not 1. 1. Okay. So Josh, what would be your favorite album of 2021?
We're at 1. Okay.
I'm on 1.
Unless
you might be still on.
Okay.
Ryan 2. Okay.
Yes. Please.
Wow.
Cannibal Corpse.
Yes.
Buffalo hometown.
I'm going to go with Little Simz' album this year, who's a British female rapper. And she put an album called Sometimes I Might Be an Introvert. And it's phenomenal. It's I don't know. It's very eclectic for a hip hop album. It has a lot of orchestra, has a lot of like choir, things like that. So the sound is really huge and enormous. And it's I don't know. She sings a lot about like her, her personal demons and things like that. And I don't know. It just really clicked with me.
All right. What's the name again?
Little Simz is the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And the album is called Sometimes I Might Be Introvert.
Okay.
So like talking about her social anxieties, things like that. So.
All right. Sounds good. John, you're number 1.
Josh is probably not going to be surprised at this pick at all. It's Genesis Owusu, Smiling with No Teeth.
That's an honorable mention for me. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. Hip-hop artist from Australia. Again, sort of the way Drew was describing Wild Hearts there, I would say it's more smarter hip-hop. I would put him somewhere around Kendrick Lamar sort of lyrics.
A little quirkier,
maybe the music,
I'd say, than Kendrick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, quirkier and sonically more quirky too than Kendrick. At the beginning of the year, he was at the half point of the year when people were making their lists of the best albums so far, sort of thing. He was making all those lists, and I'm seeing all the end of year great best albums come up, and almost nobody's mentioning this album because it came out in the beginning of the year. But it's so good. The only person that had mentioned them in their end list was Obama.
No kidding, really?
Tweets. I was like, yes, somebody else other than me. I'm in good company with the president.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. No, that's a banger. It's such a good album.
It really is, yeah. And I never even heard of them before, but the first song I heard by him was just, boom, it clicked right away, and then I started listening to it.
Well, it's his first album, I think, right?
Oh, is it? I don't know.
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really good.
Nice. Drew, did you have any honorable mentions?
Well, I have so The Wild Hearts was my number 1 album, and my number 1 song this year is by a band I actually only learned about this year. They're actually from my hometown, but they have a international deal, and they've they've toured around the world and stuff, and they're called Crown Lands.
Mm.
And the song is called White Buffalo. And it's now I can tell that these guys are younger, excuse me, because of the fact they don't have an album. They actually just brought one out, and it's like a live off the floor studio thing, and they do a version of White Buffalo on it. It doesn't have the studio magic to me that this version did. This version was actually produced by Dave Bottrell, who produced Peter Gabriel Us. He produced Tool, and not to say that it sounds like Peter Gabriel Tool, but it's amazing. Like, it's magical. The production is super crisp, and they're a two-piece from my hometown here in Oshawa. One of the young men is Indigenous, so White Buffalo, and a lot of their lyrics kind of have that aspect to them. But this song is just a pop rock masterpiece.
It's a great song.
How it hasn't ended up being, I maybe I don't listen to the right stations, but how this isn't just filling all the CanCon it needs to across the country. And it's so catchy, and it's, the guitar is perfect, and the amount of noise, I don't want to say noise because people think it's noisy. It's not. The amount of sounds that two people can make, and I know in a studio you can whatever, but even when they reproduce it live, it's incredible. And White Buffalo, Crown Lands, and Crown Lands, for our friends who may be listening around the world, are lands that the Crown claim as theirs in Canada, and obviously it's kind of a reflection of that, because obviously Indigenous and First Nations communities dispute that, and it's kind of to bring that to the forefront. And this song, and eventually when the album comes out, because there is talk of one, I'll be first in line to buy it. So.
Wow.
All right. Excellent. So, Josh, what would be your number one?
Going to me? Okay.
This year?
All right. My number one is a tricky one, but a tricky one to recommend to most people, I have to be honest with you. I'm glad Mutford's here, because this is an album that I think I could easily recommend to him. It's an album that I was obsessed with this summer. I just listened to it constantly, and it's easily my number one. It's a singer named, her real name is Tia Cabral, but she goes by the name of Spelling, spelled with 3 L's, which is part of the irony of the name. And the album is called The Turning Wheel, and it's basically, I kind of describe it as if like Kate Bush, Stevie Wonder, and Radiohead kind of had a baby. Like throw them in a blender and they had a baby.
Okay.
Like she's got like that really distinct kind of, I don't want to say squeaky voice, but like that real like kind of art pop Bjork, Kate Bush kind of vocals that she does. Very art pop, lots of woodwinds, lots of brass, that sort of thing, kind of like casting a spell while she sings sort of the deal. But the songs are just absolutely beautiful. Like some of the most inspired songwriting I've heard in a long time. And it's kind of interesting because it's like the album is about like an hour long on the dot, and like the first half hour is like the more upbeat songs, and then the second half is like the darker, sinister songs. But it's consistent throughout. It's just a really, really, really refreshingly made and recorded album. It's just beautiful. I just love it so much. So
nice.
But I couldn't recommend it to that many people, because I don't think it's a bit of an acquired taste. But if that sounds like something that you'd be into, I'd definitely say check it out.
All right. That sounds...
I will.
Yeah, that sounds pretty intriguing. So then, okay, I could either ask you, what is your biggest disappointment when it comes to music this year? Or we can switch to books. It's up to you.
I was okay with books last year, but this was not a good reading year for me.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, yeah, we can stay with music then.
But it's up to you guys.
I'm good either way. So
yeah, I have a few books, but I don't have 5. But I do have one in particular that I'll talk about for a second.
Go ahead.
But music, I don't know. I didn't write any disappointment. I'm sure there were some. Sorry, John, if you.
Well, I'll do a quick honorable mention and a quick disappointment for music.
Sure.
So I'll say disappointment. And maybe if I spent more time with the album, I'll like it more. But Leon Bridges' new album, I don't know. I like the old school sound of Coming Home, and he just sounds like generic new music with his new one to me. So I don't know. Maybe I just haven't given it enough of a chance. An honorable mention, I will say the EP that Tragically Hip surprised people with this year, Saskadelphia, which is 5 songs that were initially cut from Road Apples, so I didn't have high expectations as they were cut, but it's really old school, classic rock sound of the hip, and great songs.
Nice.
Okay, I'll throw in my disappointment. And to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this band, but the 2 new Guns N' Roses songs that came out this year,
Yeah.
I couldn't get into either of them. Hard School is kind of more traditional, what I probably should like, and I can't get into it. And the first one was called Absurd, which was awful, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's not making me too excited for their new stuff. Now, I know those 2 were written just by Axl before he reunited with Slash and these guys, so I'm hoping that they will get him back on track with the songwriting. Because Hard School I can tolerate, but Absurd was just bad. It was juvenile and just sounded awful, and
it sounded like what he was trying to do 20 years ago when nu metal was big and never got used, and now he's like, oh great, now I can put it out. And
Jesus.
Into it. It's not good.
Okay.
In my opinion. So
it sounds like we have
it's a pretty popular opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might be unanimous on this one.
But I find Guns N' Roses fans are like Kiss fans. It's like, you can't say something bad about them, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, sounds more like a cult almost. Josh, was there something that disappointed you music-wise?
I was kind of hoping to like the Liz Phair album a little bit more than I did, because she put out her first album in a long time, and it was pretty well hyped when it came out. And I listened to it; it was all right. It was okay. I didn't dislike it, but nothing really compelled me to want to listen to it all that much. I don't know.
Did you have the feeling that she didn't put enough work into it, or she just went into another direction? Or
no, it was just more. I don't know. I just feel like the songwriting wasn't quite it didn't quite have the edge it used to.
Okay.
I don't know. It just I don't know. It just didn't grab me. It just felt a little bit kind of like, I don't know, Wonder Bread. It was just kind of on, when I was listening to it. But usually with Liz Phair, usually there's, she has a little bit more, kick, but.
All right. So we are coming on about 2 hours. I'll end this by asking you one last question. Is there something that you're looking forward to next year? A release? Could be a concert.
Being released from lockdown.
Yes. Yes. Also that. But is there like an album that you're having your sights on?
An album? Bjork and Kendrick Lamar are both supposed to be putting out albums next year.
No
so
kidding.
I'm looking forward to both.
I did not know that about either one. And then when you started saying that, I was like, together? They're doing a duet? What is this?
That would work.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but both are putting out new stuff. I've heard more about the Bjork one than Kendrick's.
Wow. I'm surprised I heard nothing about Bjork, and I'm usually up on all her stuff. That's awesome.
Apparently, she says the first half is more almost club oriented. So think of like her debut album, maybe. Okay. And then, but the second one is, she said, like more when you go home from the club and and you want to unwind.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Then I'm very intrigued by that. Mm-hmm. She's been hit or miss for me in the last maybe couple of albums, but
yeah, I haven't liked her later career stuff as much as early career, but they've grown on.
Yeah, and she's going to be in a new movie with Nicole Kidman, which is I saw that
on your Twitter feed today. That's awesome.
New Robert Eggers movie,
Northman. Yes,
yeah. Like the premise of that movie, if you had just told me before, it wouldn't have sold me on the movie. But the cast,
100%, yeah. And Robert Eggers too. I like both the movies that he's made, like The Lighthouse and
The Witch.
Oh, that's the same guy. Yep. Okay, see, yeah. It wasn't as crazy with that one, but
yeah.
Drew, do you have something to look forward to music-wise?
Musically, just the Wombats' new record's called "Fix Yourself, Knock the World." They've released 3 singles. I really like one of them. The other 2 are kind of growing on me. And King's X should have a new album this year. They had recorded it right before everything stopped at the start of 2020. And the rumor is that it's coming out this year because they've got tours planned, and I would imagine they want to release it for that. So,
all right. Okay, sounds good. Guys, is there anything that you wanted to add in this year in review?
Well, I just want to ask you the same question. What are you looking forward to next year?
Music-wise, I cannot tell you.
Well,
anything wise, yeah.
Oh God, traveling again.
Yeah.
I know it's
nice.
such a cliche, but it's absolutely the.
Yeah.
I mean, I was lucky enough to go to Europe in September between two waves.
Yeah.
I was incredibly lucky,
Yeah.
and the marathon took place as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that next year, and one day we will be done with this, maybe.
I sure hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that's a downer. That's a down.
Thanks for listening.
Yes, exactly. But no, actually, let's try and think. Yeah.
Well, you said the sequel to the Dune movie. When is that?
There you go.
They're probably going to start shooting maybe next year, so it won't be out until 2023, I guess.
Okay, they didn't shoot it all at once, like
No.
the Peter Jackson.
No, they could. Yeah, they could have, but they didn't. Which sounds weird now because they probably should have. I guess they weren't sure enough that the movie would be successful.
Right.
But it would have had to be a massive flop not to be a part 2.
Right.
But well, yeah. So yeah, we can wrap this up, I guess.
Was there any, and listen, I'm not a huge reader, and I know you didn't want to, we're looking at time, but was there any books that people loved this year, like would recommend, or, because I have one.
Please.
Go for it.
Yeah. The only book, so there's actually, it's a bit, I don't want to say it's a cop out. So it came out at the end of 2020. I read it this year because it came out in Europe and I had to get it sent over, but it's actually written by a friend of mine who got a publishing deal with Bloomsbury.
Nice.
Which is, and she released her first book at the end of 2020. Again, I got it this year. It's called The Valley of Lost Secrets. As your listeners may or may not know, I'm a librarian in an elementary school, so I read a lot of like youth fiction and stuff, and my friend's book is youth fiction. The Valley of Lost Souls is about some children at the start of World War II who get taken from, and this happened obviously at the time, but some kids who got taken from London and sent to Wales because when bombings were happening to get them to safety. And I will say that it was the first book, and not just because it was my friend who wrote it. It's a lady who I used to teach with when I was teaching in the UK, and now she's an author. But it's the first book since A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving that actually made me cry. And I had to put it down several times just because
Waterworks.
I don't want to say it's the ending, but yeah, it was. And then my wife read it and I didn't really say anything. I was like, you let me know. Because again, I'm trying to think, is it because it's my friend's book or whatever? And then she was just like, that's a great book. And so she's got a new one coming out. Actually, I think it's next month, called When the War Came Home. Again, it's kind of that realistic fiction. And so I'm looking forward to getting that as well. And I'm hoping somebody buys me the Billy Connolly autobiography for Christmas. So,
all right, sounds good. And what was the name of the first book?
The Valley of Lost Secrets. So, unfortunately, I mean, you can order an import. It's like records. You can order an import hard copy of it, but you can actually get it on Kindle. Like you can, you can get it on Amazon for a couple bucks. So, but it's great. Again, it's youth fiction. It's aimed at 10, 11, 12-year-olds, but it's really well written, and she doesn't speak down to them. Like she's a wordsmith. It's brilliant. So it really is.
Wow. All right. Sounds good. All right. So guys, I'll do another roundtable. Where can we find you online? John?
eBay. I'm kidding. Twitter mostly. Yeah. And that's at Book Mindset, and that's BOOKMINESET.
All right. I hope maybe in a future episode we could focus more on books with you guys. Actually, it would have been nice to have more time to cover this, but
call Nick and then do a librarians roundtable.
Yeah. I just might. All right. So, Drew, where can we reach you online?
I'm on Twitter. I'm not a terribly exciting follow because it's mainly about my school and my library and the odd music thing. It's at Mr. D's Class, so MRDSCLASS. And I always say you can find me on Facebook if you have a mutual friend with me. Otherwise, thanks for coming out.
Sounds good. Josh, where can we find you online?
Well, you can find me at JoshF618 at Twitter, and also my Movies at Rock podcast Twitter handle is at Rock Movies Pod.
All right. Excellent. Gentlemen, I have to thank you for your time. I hope our listeners had a ton of recommendations now to, watch or listen to or read. And I enjoyed this very much.
Great fun as always.
I hope you did as well.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you guys for listening. And we will talk again on the next one. Thanks.